Previously, I wrote a document on how to overwrite an ArcGIS Online feature service by referencing a feature class and using a truncate and append method. I received a lot of feedback from this document, with some users encountering limitations, such as attachments not being supported and updating services containing multiple layers. This solution is aimed to address these limitations. I want to show how you can use a ArcGIS Pro project to overwrite an ArcGIS Online feature service. Show you in this example the feature service I'm going to overwrite. It's the state parks one here. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the settings for this feature service. Just there in the overview tab, we'll see I have a thumbnail applied to this, a description as well. You can see that this is shared with a particular group. So it's shared with the public works group. And take a look at the individual layer itself. We can see it does have attachments enabled. And if we take a look at the additional settings here, I do have sync enabled as well as editor tracking and allowing others to export to different formats. I've also updated the visualization of this. We can see I applied some symbology to this, as well as I made some changes to the pop-up. So here I went ahead and added some field or removed some fields and just made it very simplistic, just showing a couple of the fields and modified the title. So any user that adds this to a new web map will get these properties. These can be changed within the map and those properties will be saved. But by default, if we want to have some key properties set for any user that's going to be able to use this and discover it, we can go ahead and set them here. Now all the settings that I've shown of the service I want to maintain. So to do that, the script will actually maintain all of them for us. And I'm going to now switch to ArcGIS Pro and show you the feature class that I'm using to overwrite that hosted feature service. So here I have a parks feature class, and this is coming from just a local file geodatabase. You can see I have attachments enabled. I do have editor tracking enabled as well. And what I'm going to do now is use a script that is going to reference this Pro project that has this feature class saved within it to overwrite that feature service. So let's go ahead and bring up the script here. And I'll go through the variables that you'll need to change. The first variable is the path to the Pro project. So here's the path on disk where that Pro project resides. Next is the name of the map where the data resides. So within my Pro project, here's the name of that map, State Parks. I just do have one layer in this example, but as I was mentioned before, this can support multiple layers. So if you have multiple layers, that is supported. Next, I have a service def ID, which is the item ID of the service definition. So jumping back to ArcGIS Online, you can see I do have the service definition here. I can click on that, and I can grab the ID directly from the URL. Same goes for the feature service ID, which is required for the script as well. Again, getting that from the URL. There's a service def ID parameter and the item ID of the feature service as well. It's just a portal URL, which in this example is just ArcGIS Online. So you can very simply put www.arcgis.com. Next is your username, followed by your password. So you will have to update the password to clear text. Next is whether you want to share this to your entire organization. This is going to be a Boolean value, either true or false. In this example, I'm not sharing it with my org or sharing it with everyone. I'm simply sharing it to a particular group. So with the group, I need to specify the ID or IDs. This is a comma delimited list here. So if I did have multiple groups I wanted to share it with, I could just enter in the other ID here. But where I get that ID is from the URL of that group. So jumping to my groups, and if I search for public and then view group details, again, I'll grab my ID directly from the URL here. The last parameter is whether to preserve editor tracking. So as I'm making edits to that feature class within ArcGIS Pro, I may want to preserve that editor tracking from there. So I can set this to true or false. True will preserve the editor tracking. So now that I have all my variables set, what I will do is I will specify my password and execute this, and then we'll take a look at the service and make sure all the properties were maintained. Went ahead and executed the script. We can see it ran through successfully in just under a minute. So now jumping back to my service, I just want to verify that all the settings have been maintained. Starting with the overview page, we can see that my description's there, thumbnail, etc. Jump into my visualization, that should be all maintained as well. Same symbology. Pop-up should be the same as well. Let's take a look at some of the settings here. So sync and editor tracking is still enabled, as well as allowing others to export to different formats. So feel free to test this out. Again, if there's any missing functionality or any issues, please report in the comments below. I'll be happy to take a look and help you out. Thank you.